Hello Zebra. During my 500,000 subscribers special video, I invited you guys to ask whatever questions you wanted in the comment section, and I would make a video later on answering them all. And the day has finally come. You guys left over 1,000 comments asking different questions, which was a whole lot more than I was expecting. But after reading through every single one of them, I have compiled a list of some of the most asked and most interesting questions that I got. I tried my best to make a list that covers just about everything that was asked, especially since there was a lot of repeat questions. I tried to consolidate everything so that it was as concise as possible. But with that being said, we still have a ton of questions to go through, so hopefully this answers most, if not all, of your questions. With that being said, if you didn't get around to asking a question, you can always leave it in this comment section or in the comments of any of my other videos, and if I have the chance, I'll try to answer it. And beyond that, I do want to thank you guys again so much for 500,000 subscribers. Whether you asked a question or not, I really appreciate that you watch my videos and join me on my gaming adventures. So with that being said, let's get started with the questions. And the very first question is, how long have you been making videos for? I first made the Zebra Gamer channel on October 3rd of 2009, so nearly 15 years ago. I was only 13 years at the time, so I've spent over half of my life making videos on the Zebra Gamer YouTube channel. But when it comes to making videos in general, it goes back even farther than that. I would say around 2007 is when I started making my first ever videos, before I even opened the Zebra Gamer channel. Now my memory is a little fuzzy because we're talking about a long time ago now, but I do think that one of the first videos I made was actually just recording the TV while I played games. And the first game that I ever recorded myself playing was Guitar Hero 3. It was a game I really cared about at the time, and while recording rhythm games is a little bit difficult for copyright reasons, they are still some of my favorite games to play from time to time. Throughout 2007 and 8, I also made a lot of videos on one of my favorite games of all time, RuneScape. These videos were never too complicated, they would just be little skits or whatever ideas I had at the time. Unfortunately, none of those videos exist anymore. If there's one thing I could tell my past self to do, it would be to not delete anything, because I made a lot of cool stuff that I wish I could go and see, but for one reason or another, it's just not there anymore. But to answer the question, how long have I been making videos for? A long time. 2007 would probably be the earliest one, so I would say at this point, almost 20 years, a couple years short of 20 years. How did you get started making videos? I detailed it a little bit in the last question, but I would just really make videos on whatever I was interested in. I would watch other people make YouTube videos, and that would inspire my own ideas, and I would just sort of do what felt like would be fun that day. I was just a kid, so it was really just about enjoying myself and making the most of my time. I think nowadays there's a lot of pressure to get like the best equipment or the best software to make the best videos, but back then a lot of those different software and equipment options didn't exist. It was just whatever you had laying around. So I would just use whatever I had at my disposal just to make videos. If that was just the old family computer and an old microphone laying around, then that's exactly what I would do. In fact, the first year of making Zebra Gamer videos, I would actually use a microphone from a Wii game. It was like a karaoke Wii game that I realized was just like a USB that you would plug into the Wii. I just plugged it into my computer hoping it would work, and it did, so I was able to use it to record videos. Sometimes you just gotta make do with what you got. So how did I get started making videos? Just with anything that I had. Why do you like zebras so much? Well, I like zebras because I am one. But seriously, one of the things I love about zebras and the zebra herd and the whole idea behind the channel is that it has this sense of community to it. When zebras group together in a herd, they visually blend together. It's sort of hard to tell one zebra from another with all their stripes mixing about. But what's so interesting about that is no one zebra is really the same. All of them have a little bit of different stripes to them. And that reminds me so much of myself and of all of you guys. Together we have the common interest of really enjoying video games, but at the same time, we're all our own unique people, and I think there's a really nice beauty in that. And beyond that, zebras are just pretty cool, right? I think they are. So I hope that answers the question. What are your favorite video games? It can be really hard to choose. There's so many great video games out there, but I think this would be my top 5. Number 5 is RuneScape. It is a MMORPG that I played a lot when I was younger, and it was just really cool. Kind of game where you can sort of make your own character, level up skills, but when it comes to what you actually do, the choice is yours. You can run around and do basically anything the world offers you, which was such a cool thing to me at the time. While the game had a lot of different stats to level up, my biggest memories with the game were actually just interacting with other people playing at the same time. Number 4 is Little Big Planet. Obviously, with how much I've played those original Little Big Planet games, it had to be pretty far up there. The original Little Big Planet has such a near place to my heart just because I played it a lot when I was younger, especially when I was really feeling sick a lot of the times. Little Big Planet was one of those games I would play just constantly, either playing through the story mode or the constant amount of really fun creator-made levels. It just felt like such a handmade game, like someone just put a game together with their bare hands and gave it to you as a gift. And something about that was so cool and so novel. And I'm really sad to say there really isn't anything like it out there anymore. Hopefully one day we get a new Little Big Planet game. Number 3 is Plants vs. Zombies, the original. I love Plants vs. Zombies, obviously with how many episodes we've had across all of the games. And while of course, like Garden Warfare 2 and Plants vs. Zombies Heroes and all the other different versions of PvZ are great, the original will always be my favorite. Not only is it the one that I played when I was youngest, but I feel like it's still the most well-rounded game. It just is a fun time all the way through, so you can't go wrong with the original PvZ. Number 2 is Crash Team Racing. For the original PlayStation, in my opinion, the best kart racing game of all time, and definitely of that generation. Mario Kart 64, Diddy Kong Racing, they're great, they're fine, but they don't hold a candle to CTR if you ask me. I've gushed about this game so much when we played through the remaster of it, Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, so definitely check that out if you want to hear me go on and on about it. And my number 1 most favorite game of all time is Jak and Daxter for the PlayStation 2. This to me is childhood wonder in a game. This is the game I would play when I just wanted to explore and see a new world and feel this sort of overwhelming awe of like a world that's not the one I'm in, if that makes sense. I feel like a lot of people have that like one game they just loved to explore in, and that was Jak and Daxter for me. If you've never played the game before, it's really similar to maybe Super Mario 64 or Banjo-Kazooie, where there's these different levels you go through and you collect basically the equivalent of a star, and you just try to get all the stars and get to the end of the game. But the characters are fun, the environments are exciting, and at the time for the PlayStation 2, it like didn't really technically have loading screens, so technologically it was like a super impressive game, and it just, obviously I'm biased because I grew up with it, but it's a really cool game in my opinion, and my favorite game of all time. Did you ever think you would reach 500,000 subscribers? Honestly, no, for a lot of reasons, but back when I started, back in 2009, not many channels at all had that many subscribers. Some of the channels I looked up to, and some of the biggest gaming channels in general at the time, didn't even have 100,000 subscribers. So the idea of getting this much of a support from you guys, the Zebra Herd, wasn't even a question. I didn't even think it was remotely possible. At some point or another, I stopped really counting and expecting what subscriber milestones to hit and when. I just decided it doesn't really matter what happens as long as I try my best and I have a good time, because that's all I can control anyways. With that being said, you guys have been so supportive regardless that we smashed through every goal I could have ever hoped for. 500,000 subscribers is such a massive number that even now that I'm thinking of it, it's just crazy to me. So I do get a lot of messages from people saying like, oh, you deserve 1 million subscribers, you deserve all this, I'm surprised you don't already have it, all that kind of stuff. I really appreciate those comments, they mean a lot to me, but to be honest with you, I'm surprised I have what I have. And it's more than I could have ever expected. So I'm extremely thankful. And I think it's easy to sort of forget that for a lot of people because they see all these channels with tens of millions of subscribers. But for every channel that has 1 million subscribers, there's thousands of creators who tried and never got there. Even 1,000 subscribers. Less than 1% of anybody who tries to make YouTube videos probably gets to 1,000 subscribers. It doesn't seem like that, but that's because they give up along the way. You never end up seeing them. So when you keep that in mind, I think that really shows how far we've made it just by being consistent and keep continuing to try. And another good way to illustrate that is that I've met plenty of other creators while making videos in this last almost 15 years, and very, very few of them still make videos. So it really goes to show that, I don't know, I'm really thankful for how far we've made it, and I think the milestone we've reached is a huge accomplishment. Could you play this game? Now this is a really general question, but this is actually thousands of questions crunched into one. So not only did a lot of you ask this in the Q&A, but I get to ask this question dozens of times every single day. A lot of people say, hey, can you play this game? Can you play that game? Can you get back to playing this game? Can you continue this game? Why haven't you been playing this one or that one? It doesn't really matter the specific game. The answer is almost always the same. And that answer is as soon as I can. If you're asking me, hey, can you play this game? Or hey, why haven't you gotten to this one? It's just a matter of time. Unfortunately, I'm a zebra, not a time wizard, so I can't magically make more time. But videos take a lot of time to make. I think a lot of people just see me playing a game and think it begins and ends there. If I play a game for 30 minutes, that's all it took to make the video. But in fact, that's just the beginning. I have to edit and produce the video. A lot of the times, a 30-minute video takes far longer to make than just 30 minutes. So imagine that for every single video I make. And because of that, while yeah, I do want to get to many of the games my viewers request, it's gonna take a long time. I get requested enough games that I could spend every day for the rest of my life sitting right here making videos every single second, and I probably still wanna get to everybody's requests. There's simply just not enough time. So I do my best to prioritize games that are asked for the most or are the most relevant. Obviously, newly released games get the highest priority, and beyond that, either games that a lot of you are requesting or maybe games I personally really wanna play. So if you've been asking for a specific time and date, exactly when I'm gonna play your most asked for game, unfortunately, I don't have an answer for you. I would love to give you an answer, but I just simply can't possibly do it. But I hope that at the least gives you a little bit of an answer to your question, even though it's not a very definitive one. There have definitely been times I have felt a little overwhelmed, where I'll upload a new video and almost every comment is just asking for a different game that's not even about the video I posted. And that can be a little bit just, like I said, overwhelming. But I try to look past that and just understand the fact that that just means people are excited to see more videos from me, which is incredibly exciting. So no matter what game you're asking for, I do my best to listen and post as many times as I can to get to all the games that I can. I know it's not the best answer to the question, but I hope it's enough for you. Do you make videos full time? And by full time, I'm guessing most people mean as a living, as a job. And the answer to that for right now is yes. Ever since about 2017 or 18, I've been lucky enough to be supported by you guys enough to be able to do this as a full-time job, which enables me to be able to post videos as often as I do. When I was younger, all I could ever imagine myself doing as I got older was more YouTube videos. So I am so thankful that we've been able to get to this point where I can do this as a living. I try to not keep that as my focus because to me, this will always be about the passion I have for these games and sharing my gaming experiences with you guys. It's not about the money or even necessarily the fame of any of it. It's just about having fun. So that's what I try to focus on. So yeah, as of right now, I am a full-time creator and I have been for quite a while now. With that being said, I have tried to find a little bit more balance in my life, especially the first few years of doing this full time. I did it full time. It's very easy to fall into this habit of waking up and working until it's time to go to bed, waking up and then working until it's time to go to bed, which isn't healthy or sustainable. So I've tried a lot the last year or two to focus on my personal health a little bit more, especially since I've had some struggles with it. And that's why you may have noticed in the last few years, I went from posting about 3 videos a day down to 2. And while that actually did lead to less viewers, I think I'm okay with it. Because now that I've been able to post less videos, I've been able to focus on things like diet and exercise and become a more healthy version of myself. And because of all that, I'm able to enjoy making videos a whole lot more. And I think that's a trade I'm willing to take. If one day focusing on my personal health leads to me not being able to do this full time anymore, that's okay. I did what I could and I did my best. And as long as we're able to enjoy playing games together, like I've said before, that's what matters most to me. What is your process for making videos like? Now, it's no secret that making the kind of gaming videos I make isn't super complicated. For a lot of it, it's just me talking over a game, but I try to break it into 3 processes. Those 3 processes are planning, recording, and producing. The planning stage is pretty straightforward. This is where I decide which games I'm going to be playing in the near future, how many episodes I think they'll take, and whatever I might need to know to actually complete the games. For some games, this is really straightforward, but other games are more complicated and require a lot more information to be able to fully complete. So it really is a variable on how much the planning stage takes. Next up, of course, is the one you guys see the most and probably the most enjoyable part, the recording. That's where I just play the game, I hit record, and I talk to you guys while we play. And then lastly is producing. Producing is the majority of the work when it comes to videos. This means, of course, organizing the files, editing them, making the thumbnail, uploading them to YouTube, adding all the tags, titles, descriptions, all that kind of fancy stuff that can get a little boring if you're not super invested in it. This is where the video actually becomes the video. But it's probably the part of the process that you guys see the least, since it's not really about the actual final product. But that's how the whole process works to actually be able to make a video. Some of you also asked about which equipment I use, which I'll try to keep this brief since I know some people aren't too interested in the technical side of things. For recording video game consoles, I often use the Elgato Game Capture. There's many different forms of it at this point, but they all basically do the same thing. They record video game consoles to your computer. For my microphone, I have a Rode NT1 plugged into a Pod Studio UX2, which in English means it's a microphone plugged into a thingamajig. This is a more complicated and expensive setup, so I don't expect many people to go for this option. There are so many available microphones for much cheaper that you just plug straight into your computer. And when it comes to the programs I use, the main ones are Vegas Pro for video editing and Adobe Photoshop for making the thumbnails. There's a lot of little intricacies to making videos that I could go over, maybe in its own video if enough of you want to see it. You'll have to let me know. How do you keep such a consistent upload schedule? For the best part of the last decade, I've been uploading multiple videos a day. Usually, right now, as I've said before, I am for 2 videos a day, but in the past, I've uploaded 3 or even 4 videos in a day, pretty consistently. There have been some times I've missed out on a couple of days, or a little longer, just depending on my own personal life and personal health. But for the most part of the last decade plus, we've been uploading videos every single day. And most of that just comes down to scheduling. I try my best to really stay on top of everything going on in my life so I can make sure that I'm posting as many videos as possible. Most of it comes down to scheduling and just working as hard as I can with the time that I have. Historically, I've taken very few days off and very few vacations, but I have tried to change that a little bit, which, like I was talking before, is why I stepped down from multiple videos of like 3 videos a day down to 2. It might not seem like a lot, but that is so much less work to keep up with every day, because 3 videos a day is 90 videos a month, but 2 videos a day is 60 videos a month. It makes a huge difference. So usually just trying to stay as rigorous on my schedule as I possibly can, and that helps out a ton. What also helps is doing things in batches. I think a lot of people don't really know this about YouTube if you don't make videos. A lot of people assume that all the videos I posted one day, if I posted 2 videos that day, that morning I woke up, recorded those videos and posted them that same day. But a lot of the time it doesn't work that way. I'll record a bunch of videos in a huge batch and then I'll edit a bunch of videos in a huge batch because that's the most efficient way to get it done. So typically I will take 1 or 2 weeks out of the month to record as many videos as I can in that week or 2. Then I'll have another week or 2 where I edit as many videos as I can. And usually that's the schedule I keep because that helps me keep up with as much as possible. And that's sort of the best way I have found to keep up with the demand. Just on the fly recording or editing and jumping back and forth between them would eat up a ton of time. So doing things in huge batches is usually the best way to get ahead. Which also might answer the question where sometimes a new game might come out and I don't get to it immediately that same day. A lot of the time it's just because it didn't match with my schedule super well. But once I batch record and batch edit and get those videos available ahead of time, I'm luckily able to schedule them through YouTube's upload features. And that gives me the extra room to focus on continually getting more and more ahead. Sometimes I'll even record a series on an older game and just sort of keep it around just in case maybe I'm not feeling so well during a recording week and I couldn't keep up with the demand. That way I can just sort of upload it to sort of fill that gap. It takes a lot of work, but it's well worth it if it keeps people interested. Why are some of your videos on other platforms? While my videos have mostly been on YouTube, I have actually had the opportunity to post my videos on other platforms over the years. Most notably was Amazon Prime Video a few years ago, but you can find Zebra Gamer videos on other platforms such as Roku and Kadoodle and even the official Zebra Gamer website. And sometimes I'll just get people asking why. And to that I say, why not? YouTube is a really popular platform, but not every single person in the world uses it. So if I have the opportunity to post my videos somewhere else where more people can enjoy them, I don't see a reason not to. In fact, I have actually had more people watch my videos on other platforms at times than I have on YouTube. Back when we were posting videos on Amazon Prime Video, we were getting more viewers on there than we were on YouTube, which was so cool. And no matter where you watch the videos from, I do want to make it clear that you're still a part of the Zebra Herd. A lot of people think you need to subscribe or to do anything to actually be a part of the Zebra Herd, but that's not true. As long as you're watching along and having fun, you're a part of the Zebra Herd. A lot of parents have actually reached out to me in appreciation to the fact that Zebra Gamer videos are available on other platforms. While there is a ton of amazing creators that are family friendly on YouTube, you can't deny that there are a lot of creators who just simply aren't family friendly, and some parents aren't comfortable with that. But luckily, since I'm able to upload videos to my own personal website, as well as these other family-friendly platforms, they feel more comfortable introducing Zebra Gamer videos to their children. And that's really great. I'm glad that people can enjoy the videos in an environment that they feel is safe. But also, sometimes people will write to me that seem almost a little offended that I am available on other platforms. And to that, I don't really know how to respond. I guess people expect a YouTuber to quote unquote stay in their lane and only upload to YouTube, but I feel like if that's the kind of thing you're thinking, then maybe you need a little self-reflection. I'm just here to make videos and have some fun with it. If people will watch them on that platform or this platform or any other platform, I'll do my best to make sure my videos are there. Do you play T-rated games? This one is sort of a mixed bag question. Originally, when I first started doing YouTube, it was as a hobby, for fun, so I didn't really care what rating the games were. But as the Zebra Herd continued to grow, I noticed that a lot of viewers were younger, and I wanted to really make sure that my channel was a place where everybody could have fun. So I decided that I would make the Zebra Gamer channel fully family friendly with the game choices. At the time, I actually made a second channel called Zebra Bonus, where I would upload gameplay of T+ rated games. Eventually, I had to stop doing it just because of time. There's only so much time in the day to make videos, and it seemed like a lot more people were interested in what I was doing here than they were on Zebra Bonus. So I decided to just put my full focus on making videos here because that's what the most amount of people wanted to see. Now, this question's been popping up a lot more recently because I have played the Spider-Man games. If you don't know, Spider-Man is rated T for teen, but I think a lot of people have sort of misunderstood that that wasn't some kind of new rule I was making, that I was playing T-rated games. More so it was an exception to the rule. Since so many people had requested Spider-Man, I figured I'd try it. And a lot of you were really happy that I did. But for the most part, I still plan on keeping things family friendly. I don't know of too many other games I plan on playing that have a T rating or more. So yeah, as it currently stands, I don't play T-rated games for the channel, and Spider-Man was more of an exception to the rule than it was the new standard. What is the longest series you've ever done? The longest series I've done is Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2. I have played so much of this game, and there's over 500 videos in the Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2 playlist. The specific series I think has about 450 episodes, but including all the other just spin-off videos I've made of the game, it totals to over 500, which is really crazy when I think about it. Some of those videos are shorter, some of them are way longer. So it's definitely a mixed bag, but one of my favorite games of all time, and a lot of you really enjoyed it. It was where a lot of people were first introduced to my channel and joined the Zebra Herd, so there's a lot of good memories in that game. There's a couple of other series that get sort of close to that. I think some of the most comparable are Plants vs. Zombies 2 and Fall Guys. And while I'm still actively playing Fall Guys to this day, I'm a little doubtful it'll reach the amount of episodes that Garden Warfare 2 had. I know a lot of people ask me specifically to go back to Garden Warfare 2, and maybe at some point I'll poke my head back in the game, but I don't know if I'll actively be posting videos in that game anymore, simply just because I did everything I can think of doing in the game. I've played it to a point where I'm very satisfied with what we've done in the game. And unfortunately, I just can't play every game forever. Sometimes I have to stop playing some games to start playing others. Would you ever do a face reveal? This is actually one of my most asked questions for sure. Not just in this Q&A, but I get this comment all the time. And some of you might know that I've actually done stuff on camera and with Facecam in the past, but as I've gotten older, I've realized it's just something I'm not comfortable with. For me, it was never really about being on camera, and it was never something I enjoyed doing. And the more I look back on it, the reason I even would do it to begin with was sort of the pressure of it. I'd always get people requesting it and asking a bunch, so I thought I might as well to make other people happy. And plenty of other YouTubers were doing it and they were growing a lot, so I felt that pressure as well of, oh, maybe this will help me grow the channel more. But I'm at a point in my life where I don't want to force myself to do something I'm not comfortable with doing, so I won't. At this point, I just want to play games and talk about them, and if that means my channel won't grow as fast as people who do show their face, then that's okay. I don't think something as important as me being comfortable is worth sacrificing just for the sake of viewership. And at this point, I just am happy to have the privacy. I've never really been a public person in that way, and it's really something I appreciate having is sort of the separation from that. While I try to make my videos as authentic as possible, I do feel like making my videos is a bit of a character work. And what I mean by that is even if I personally am not having a good day, I don't bring that energy into my videos. When I'm recording as Zebra Gamer, Zebra is always having a great day and always willing to give his 110%. But to make that happen, I do need a bit of separation between recording the videos and my own personal life. So having that separation and having that privacy makes these videos possible in my opinion. So I hope that's a good enough answer that is probably gonna be disappointing to a lot of you, but no, I do not plan on doing a face reveal or anything like that in the future. For the people who've been watching me long enough to remember those videos, thank you for watching as long as you have. I really appreciate it. And also thank you to everybody for being so respectful of my privacy. What does your office look like? In my home, I have an entire office that is dedicated just to recording Zebra Gamer videos. This is where I get into the zone and I'm able to just focus fully on the game and having fun with you guys. This is my recording setup, which is pretty basic. It's just, a desk with a computer and all of the games to the side. I try to keep most of my consoles plugged in and ready to go so that if there's a game I want to hop right into, I don't have to plug everything back in every time. The ones I have plugged in at the moment are the PlayStation 5, the Nintendo Switch, the Wii U, and an iPad. I also have a Nintendo 2DS, which was modded specifically to be able to record gameplay footage off of, which is really neat because the people who made these don't make them anymore. Behind me when I record is most of my current video game collection. It has gotten pretty big over the years. My eventual hope is that I can have a physical version of every game I've played for you guys, as this sort of physical, viewable memento of everything we've accomplished together. There's also a couple of games in here that are for my personal collection as well. I know a lot of people have recording rooms that are a lot more visually interesting to look at with cool LED lights and fancy posters and everything, but I try to keep things pretty simple. As long as things are clean and functional, I'm pretty happy. Do you plan on live streaming in the future? I've spent a lot of time in the past doing live streams with the Zebra Herd. Both on twitch.tv and here on YouTube, it can be a lot of fun just to press go live and hang out with you guys. In the recent years, I haven't been going live as often or at all really, mostly just because I'm so focused on making videos. Since my schedule is so tight, I really want to focus on what most of you are here for, which is the pre-recorded videos. But I do want to get back to live streaming eventually, I just don't know when exactly. Sometimes live streaming can be a little bit more logistically complicated. Not only do I have to, of course, play the game and try to be as entertaining as I can, but I have to try to keep up with the chat messages and make sure that everybody is having a good time, making sure that the chat is moderated so that everybody is treating each other okay. A lot of that kind of stuff you gotta keep in mind when you're live streaming, and while I enjoy doing those things, it takes a lot more energy, so I need to make sure that I'm feeling as good as possible before I live stream. But I definitely wanna get to the point where hopefully I have some extra time so that we can do some live streams with viewers, either be playing games and stuff or something entirely different. I think one of the hard parts about playing games with viewers is it can be really narrow on what I can actually do. Some game consoles like the Nintendo Switch can be tough to play games with viewers just because the Nintendo Switch only allows me to add 200 people to the friends list before it maxes out. And as you can tell by the title of the video, 500,000 subscribers is a whole lot more than 200, so it can be hard to actually get everybody to have a chance to play. But in the future, I would love to do some live streams where we get together and maybe we play some games together. A lot of people ask me why I don't just record my normal walkthrough videos as live streams, and that's just because it can be tough to do that. Like I said before, I'd also have to keep up with chat while focusing on the game, which makes it harder to do detailed walkthroughs. And if I'm responding to chat, then people who are watching the videos as just videos might be a little confused, so then I'd have to include chat on screen, and sometimes people really don't like that. It feels like it could be a little bit impossible to make everybody happy, so I try to keep live streaming to just live stream specific things, like playing with viewers. So when it comes to that, it's just about time and opportunity, which hopefully I'll have more opportunities in the future. What is your favorite Pokemon? A lot of people think Zebstrika, which Zebstrika is really cool, and so is Blitzel, but my favorite Pokemon of all time is Weasel. It's just too adorable, it's so cute. What is your favorite series you've done? It is so hard to choose. We've had so many incredible adventures, but I think that there's a couple I can narrow down as at least some of my top most memorable ones. One of the biggest ones definitely has to be Super Mario Odyssey. Not only is it one of the best Mario games ever, and at a time that was so exciting, we just had gotten the Nintendo Switch, so it was just like, oh man, what a world of Nintendo games do we have coming towards us with this brand new Nintendo console. But it was just such a good game, and so many of you were introduced to me and my videos through that series. It was one of the first series I had where the first episode hit over 1 million views, and so many people have watched it through so many different platforms. And through your support on the Super Mario Odyssey series, I was able to start doing YouTube full time. So it was just such an exciting moment for me, both in terms of making videos, but just my life in general. I think another favorite series I've done is the original first ever series I completed on Crash Bandicoot 2. The first couple episodes of the series, I actually didn't speak in them because I was too nervous. But after a couple of episodes, I decided to start commentating them. Which is a little silly looking back on it, that there's just 8 episodes or something like that where I just don't speak in them at all, and then I'm just like, hi, I'm here. But to me, that just shows I was 13 years old, I was a little self-conscious, and I was scared to talk, but I overcame that fear, and look at all that's come from it. I was able to do what I wanted to do, even though I was scared of doing it, and because of that, I was able to find this sort of lifelong passion. And then I just remember recording that series and just feeling so excited to do more and more of it. I had such a blast when I recorded all that. And I think it was during probably like a fall break, because it was in October, that was just like, I spent the entire time that I had a break of school just recording videos. And I was just like, wow, I just found this thing that I really enjoy doing. And just that really exciting moment when you find something like that, it's hard to forget that, for sure. So I think those are 2 good choices. Super Mario Odyssey and Crash Bandicoot 2. If anything else, I would say probably, as we've talked about before, Garden Warfare 2, because it was such a huge staple on our history with over 500 episodes made. It was just such a long period of time that we were covering that game and having a great time with it. So those are some of the favorite series I've done. Would you ever redo a series? Definitely. I think that there's a couple of series I did pretty early on that, while I'm proud of, don't meet my current standards of quality. I would say anything between when I started and maybe about 2017-ish, I wouldn't mind considering redoing at some point in time. Not to say that like guaranteed I'm going to be redoing those series, but they're at least a little bit more up for consideration since they were done at a time when I was a little bit newer to making videos and still figuring out exactly how I wanted to go about it, that I wouldn't mind the chance to redo them with the higher standards I might have for myself now. I don't know which one specifically I would say for sure I would redo, but there's a couple I've had in my mind here and there that I wouldn't mind considering. For what those games are, I guess you'll just have to wait and see. In general though, I'm mostly focused on new experiences. So if there's a new game coming out or an older game we've yet to play, that definitely takes priority. What was the first game you ever played? When I was about 5 years old, I first played Crash Bandicoot for the original PlayStation. As far as I know and can recall, this was the first video game that I personally played. And in my opinion, a really great game to start with. The Crash Bandicoot series is some of my favorite games ever. I've already talked about how I love Crash Team Racing. The original Crash Bandicoot is a super amazing game. And I had a ton of fun re-experiencing those games with the Crash Bandicoot Insane trilogy that remastered the original 3 games. So yeah, I've loved video games for a really long time. How old are you? I'm 28 years old as of recording this. I was born on April 17th, 1996. Where did you grow up? I grew up in New Jersey in the United States. When I was a teenager, my family moved down to Florida, but as soon as I turned 18, I moved right back up to the Northeast. It's just where my heart is. I bounce around a lot up here in the Northeast. What is your favorite video game console? It's really hard to choose this one. My most nostalgic console is probably either the PlayStation 1 or the PlayStation 2. I lean towards PS2 because it can play all the PS1 games too because it's backwards compatible. And the PS2 was what I played the most as I got older. The PlayStation 2 released in 2000, so I was 4 at the time it came out, so it was mostly what I was gaming on in my most formative years. But nowadays, I feel like my most played consoles are probably either the PlayStation 4 or the Nintendo Switch. But if I had to choose one console that's my favorite, I would probably still say PS2. Do you play games outside of recording? Typically I don't, just because there's not much time to. When I'm not recording games, I'm focused on making sure that the stuff I recorded is being produced, or I'm going out to exercise or travel or to be healthier. One game I used to play a lot as a teenager was called Dota 2. It is a competitive multiplayer game that's really difficult to play. If you've ever played anything like League of Legends or Pokémon Unite, very similar to games like that. And while I don't have the time or the energy to play a game that intense anymore, it's still one of my favorite games to watch. I'll watch Dota 2 esports as often as I can. But while it's not really playing a game outside of recording, it's at least watching a game outside of recording. Would you ever collab with other YouTubers? In the past, I've collabed with a couple of different YouTubers and have made some really fun videos and series with them. And while I'm definitely open to doing that more in the future, it's really just a matter of opportunity. A lot of other full-time creators are just as busy as I am when it comes to making videos, so it can be really hard to make schedules line up. If that opportunity ever pops up again and everything works out well, I would be happy to collab with more YouTubers. With that being said, I love making videos on my own as well. Being able to just sort of be in my own little space and make videos is one of my favorite things to do. I've always sort of been a bit of an introvert in that way. So if it works out, that's great, but if it doesn't, I'm happy just making videos on my own. What do you like to do in your free time? I've always been a super artistic person, and I just love the act of creating things. I love designing things in Photoshop. That's honestly why making thumbnails for the YouTube videos has always been one of my favorite parts of the process. And other similar artistic things like graphic design or 3D modeling in Blender have always held my interest. If for whatever reason I wasn't doing YouTube full time, I'd probably gravitate towards something like that as a career. I also like being out in nature and going on little nature hikes whenever I can. There's such a gratifying feeling of being able to hike up a long trail or climb up some rocks and be able to see out in the horizon on the mountain you just climbed. It's a feeling like no other. How do you choose which games to record? My highest priority is always brand new games that might be releasing, simply because those are the games that the most amount of people want to see. So if there's new games on the way from Nintendo, those are usually my highest tiered games to record. Besides newly released games, I try to focus on games that are actively updated over time. Things like Fall Guys is a good example. Fall Guys came out years ago, but it is constantly adding new content that's often limited time to check out. So I try to make sure to prioritize that as well. When those two things aren't an issue, I try to focus on older games that I either missed or just didn't get around to finishing. A lot of the time I might start a game, but not get around to finishing it simply because even more new games come out. And nowadays, games are super duper long. I feel like games used to be shorter, but now games can just take dozens of hours to complete, so it can be really hard to fully complete a game before new games come out. So those are my top 3: new games, consistently updated games, and older games that I haven't quite finished. When I'm not worrying about those 3, that's when I might try to play some retro games. When it comes to retro games, I try to choose things that are relevant to what might be going on at that current moment. For example, when Luigi's Mansion 3 was coming out, I played Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon right before it to prepare for Luigi's Mansion 3. Or with the brand new Mario Party Jamboree that's coming out, I want to play the original Mario Party to get us prepped and excited for it. Little things like that are usually what I try to focus on since it's relevant, which makes more people interested. What is your favorite color? My favorite color is green. What is your favorite food? My favorite food is definitely pizza. Why did you stop doing specific video outros? For context on this one, if you watch some of my older videos and you watch to the very end of them, you might hear me say, if you watched to this point of the video, make sure you comment blank so that I know you've watched to the end. That was something I started doing because I would get messages from people saying, I wanna leave comments to support your videos, but I just don't really have anything to say. And that's why some people comment like, oh, I'm the first to comment, which is, pretty cool, but obviously not the most original comment ever. So I thought it might be a fun way to incorporate you guys into the action. You guys can, have this little way to show that you watched to the very end. And it would encourage a lot of you to watch the videos all the way through, which obviously I appreciate because I put a lot of time into making them, but also would tell YouTube to share the videos with even more people. Why I stopped doing them was for a couple of reasons. There was a period of time where my comment section wasn't available on YouTube, and because of that, it didn't really make any sense to continue doing them because there was no comment section to comment in. And while that was happening, I started posting my videos to other platforms like we talked about before. I started posting my videos to Amazon Prime or Roku or plenty of other places like that. And those platforms don't even have comment sections. So for the videos that went up on those platforms, I would have to edit out me asking people to comment because they don't have comment sections. So I had to basically edit and re-render and remake the video all over again, basically, to get rid of those moments in those videos asking people to comment, since those platforms don't have the comment section, which made one video a lot more work than it used to be. So to save myself a ton of time, I stopped doing that so that I could just post one video and not have to fix it a bunch to post it on other platforms. What are your goals now that you've reached 500,000 subscribers? I don't have a specific goal in mind at the moment. I'm really happy to reach the goal that we have, and while I'm super content with it, I do plan on continually pushing for more. It would be so amazing to one day say that we have 1 million subscribers, but obviously that might take some time. So I'll just keep doing my best to make good videos and share them with the world. And my goal will just be to have fun along the way, no matter how many subscribers that earns me. And that's about it for all the questions that I have. Obviously, like I said, there might be a few that I missed because there were just so many questions. Over 1,000 of you left questions, which I really appreciate. As per usual, I respond to comments as often as I can, so if there's a specific question you wanted me to get to that I didn't get around to getting to, you can always ask me, and if I have the ability, I will try to answer it. But in the meantime, I yet again want to thank you guys so very much for 500,000 subscribers. And stay tuned because we have so many fun games releasing soon that I can't wait to play for you guys. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.